Welcome and thanks for joining me on Talk the Walk. I'm Sarah Wong. Today we have Chairman of Lan Kwai Fong Group, Allan Zeman, to join us to talk about the economic recovery during the COVID pandemic. Thank you very much, Dr. Zeman, for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Right now, there's some good news lately in Hong Kong's fight against COVID. Microbiologist Kwai just declares the end of the fourth COVID wave. Do you think the Hong Kong government should keep up with the advice of medical experts and reopen the economy?
I think that as we've seen what's happened in the rest of Southeast Asia, actually, the virus, the COVID-19 has spiked, has gone up again, and we can see in almost every country, like including Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, Japan, everywhere where who really had it under control. So this is a very tricky virus. Yes. And I think if you let your guard down, or if you let your hair down, if you have hair, too quickly, it could come back again. And Kwai, who's one of the advisors, had said that if we're not careful, you could have a fifth wave. And we're just finishing the fourth wave. We've had 28 days without an infection, a local infection. And so I think that the government needs to still maintain social distancing, because our vaccination period is very, very little. I mean, at the moment, I think we've got 20%, and we need to get to 70 or 75% in order to have herd immunity. That's something that really is a problem until you can't really relax, until we really get vaccinated, have more people vaccinated. That's the biggest problem for Hong Kong.
Under the situation in Hong Kong, do you think the government's initiative of, vaccine bubbles and a series of measures are conducive in keeping the businesses afloat?
Well, basically, businesses in Hong Kong are just barely surviving only because the border between Hong Kong and China has been closed since a year ago, February. Yeah. And Hong Kong itself was not really built on domestic tourism, domestic economy. We need tourism badly. I mean, the year when it was open, we had 55 to 60 million tourists coming from mainland and other places. And so the economy, as we can see, many retail shops are to let or closed, because, and a lot of even big brands have now gone to China because China has been able to control the virus so well. And many have just taken the head office to Shanghai and other places and have closed many big brands have closed big shops in Hong Kong, Causeway Bay, Tsim Sha Tsui, all these places, Queens Road. And so it's the first time in Hong Kong, and I think that we need to get the border open. That is a key, and I'm hoping with 28 days of non-infection, that China will allow slowly Hong Kong to open up. But every time when you think that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, now Guangdong is got a lot, has a lot of infections. So yeah, and so then Singapore, the travel bubble, and so it's you just tread water for the time being. But Hong Kong needs to do everything we can. Wear the mask, keep social distancing, don't let your guard down, to keep it up, and hopefully, slowly, we'll maybe have a better vaccine, or maybe only need a single dose, or something that in the second generation will really help the world in general.
Yeah, but just take a look at right now what the government can do. You mentioned the low vaccination rate right now in Hong Kong. The government applauded some businesses and property tycoons for offering incentives, luxury incentives for vaccination, and the government called on business sectors to keep up with those initiatives. Is that a call that you will answer?
I think that I know the government, and I know our chief executive is very, very passionate about not using government money to entice people. I'm not sure I agree totally with that, because I think that as we can see by property developers offering these homes together, this home in a winning lottery. I think that, and we can see the numbers have gone up again for the infection, for the vaccinations have gone up again. I think that's been a big plus, and we can see that that really works. I've suggested why not give maybe something like 5,000 Hong Kong dollars, but in the form of coupons, right? 3,000 for the first vaccination, $2,000 for the second vaccination. People generally need a push. I know Hong Kong people love money. And so don't give cash, because at least if you give coupons that must be spent in shops, at least the economy, the shops will be able to earn a living, will be able to, that money will get spent in the shops, in the economy. And I know it's a lot of money. You're talking about, billions of dollars, and that's one of the reasons the government doesn't want to use government funds, public funds. But I think at the end of the day, the economy is not good at all. I mean, and so if we can get the economy back on track and back working very, very quickly, you'll get that money back in spades. You'll get it back so quickly. Private enterprise like developers and others that can afford to give out prizes, that can be as well. I mean, we need to get to 70% vaccination in order to have herd immunity. That's the most important thing. Then we can get our life back. Then you can take your mask off. You can do whatever you have to. You can get a normal life back, and that's something that's very important.
A lot of people applauded the decision by the developers, but there are also criticism saying that the greedy, probably tycoon only roll out housing, which is the key problem and key grievance of a lot of Hong Kong public when they need something, the government needs something to be done. How would you respond to that line of argument? I
would respond that there's always criticism. The beauty of Hong Kong is it's an open free press and an open society. People can say what they want, and you will always have people who really want to do good for society, and many people criticize. It's always is the glass half empty or half full. Mm-hmm. And so I myself really applaud the developers for really taking the initiative to do something rather than do nothing. And so I think a bird in a hand is worth two in the bush. Don't knock it. Hopefully more and more will do the same. I just want to get people vaccinated. That's the most important thing, just for safety of your families, your parents, your grandparents, your children. That's something that's very, very important. So whatever we have to do, and people want to criticize, they can criticize. People will always find fault with everything. I'm someone that's in the media a lot. Sometimes I get criticized for what I've said. Sometimes I get applauded. It just rolls off you.
Yeah. Also, the perspective also matters. Will your company, your firm, rolled out? Is there any plan for your company to roll out similar initiatives to incentivize?
Well, actually, we're incentivizing the staff, our own staff, which we've already told them if they get vaccinated, they can, the first vaccination, they can get 3 days off, fully paid, and the second vaccination, the same thing. So, we're prepared to really help, because a lot of it is F&B, and they're in direct contact with the public every single day. It's very, very important that they do get vaccinated so that you don't suffer problems. And so we're trying to do everything. We thought about cash incentives. We thought better, well, it's the same as giving you 3 days off and fully paid. And so it's kind of like a cash incentive, And so these are things that we're looking at coming up with. We have a big network of staff that we employ, and so we're trying everything possible within our own organization.
Yeah, but there are also voices of concerns among the older employees, for example. I'm sure some of them exist in your company as well. They express concern about the safety of the vaccine. How would you deal with that situation? You
have to understand them, and listen. Even young people, many are worried about the vaccine. I mean, we have one guy that's been with us for many years, he's now in the hospital because they don't know if it's from vaccination or whatever, but it's, but it wasn't well. He was advised by doctors not to take the vaccine, but he went ahead and took it anyhow at his own risk, and in the end, hopefully he'll be okay. But, so there's a lot of people, obviously, that are nervous about it. With our own staff, we will not force anybody to take to get vaccinated, but what we will do is if they really feel they're worried or they can't do it, or they have preconditioned conditions, we'll send them to a doctor and have the doctor examine them. And if they really cannot, or the doctor advises not to be vaccinated, he or she will give them a letter to say that they should not be vaccinated. And so we respect it. You have to respect your staff. I mean, that's something that you can't force people to do what they don't want to.
Yeah, the last question before the break. The government also, taking note of the public. They decided to give 1 day off after civil servants take a vaccination. Do you think that's enough, or should they keep up with the business standard of 3 days off or more?
I think government employs a lot of people. I think that if the 1 day doesn't work, maybe you go for 2, and then if that doesn't work, maybe you go for 3. But I think that really the important thing is to incentivize them enough that they think, you know what, I can get 6 days off fully paid if I take both vaccines. So maybe I'll do that, and so. Everyone's different. People have different ideas and different feelings about things, and so I think that's really something that's really important.
Okay, let's take a short break here. We'll be right back. Don't go away.